Let me ask you a question. How much time do you really need to put into a business in order for it to be successful? You see, we see all these testimonies over here on the internet, all these people coming forward and saying, hey, I've made this much money, right? We look at Ty Lopez's social media marketing agency, which I was a part of, and one of his star players was Jaden Gross. Now, Jaden Gross, within 3 weeks of having the program, was pulling in, I think, $36,000 from people that were writing him checks for a whole year for him to run their social media. Now, is this average results? Absolutely not. But a lot of times we let that get in our head and we're thinking to ourselves, that could be us, and that's going to be us. Within 3 weeks, I'm going to have $36,000 in front of me, and I'm going to be turning away clients because I'm going to have so much money and not enough time to fulfill what they're asking of me. Well, that's kind of the place that I got stuck in. You see, when I started out, I was focused on that. I zeroed in on that. I was thinking about the fact that I'm waiting for that $36,000 to come in. But at what point was I actually going to put in the work to get there? You see, when we hear those testimonies, it's really hard because we're getting in a place of saying, yes, I want that to be me. I want that to be me. But let me ask you, how much time do you think he actually put into it to get that $36,000 back? I'm sure he didn't get 2 yeses up front, and that was that. I'm sure he was putting in tons and tons of work on the back end, prospecting for clients, looking for his ideal customer, and then, and only then, out of all the no's that were coming in, he finally got those 2 yeses, and they just happened to bring in a healthy return for him. But we're too stuck in these testimonies that we see. We're too stuck in all of this stuff that we see with money and all that. And that's where I was. I was so stuck in the idea of the $36,000, but yet I wasn't willing to put in the work. You know, one day I'd wake up and maybe I'd put in, 3-4 hours of work towards whatever it was, but then I'd get one no, and I'd be taking 5 steps back because I'd be so discouraged. At what point are we going to say, hey, we got to keep going, we got to stay consistent, we got to keep this momentum, otherwise we're never going to get to where we want to go. We have this end game, and there's all these steps that we are taking to go forward. Now, sometimes you're going like this, but sometimes it's like this. This journey really isn't linear. You're going to hit bumps, but at the same time, what are you going to do when you hit those bumps? And that was the point for me when I would start to give up. Somebody would tell me no, and I'd be thinking, oh gosh, I suck. I really suck. And somebody would tell me yes, but it was under the conditions that they were going to pay me like enough to maybe get a hot and spicy at McDonald's. But at the same time, I wasn't taking into consideration my dream client. I wasn't really prospecting as hard as I thought I was. I was just doing it when it felt like it was right, when I didn't have anything else to do, when I was so bored that I was like, yeah, I guess I'll work on business today. Is that you? Are you like I was? That's why I'm trying to be so consistent in everything that I'm doing, with everything that I'm posting, because we have to get into a place where we are just making habits out of being consistent. And it's in being consistent and pushing forward, pushing yourself out there, that you're actually going to get to those places, those milestones where you're going to be making good money. Now, sure, we look at things like Jaden Gross' situation. He made $36,000 off of 2 people. But what do you think happened before that? How much work did he really have to put in before that? Sure, he got the program and 3 weeks later he was getting this money, but how do we know that he didn't know about social media marketing and that that's what he wanted to do before he actually bought the program? What if he prepared himself? What if he was calling people before? What if he just needed that little push from the program to excel? These are all the things that we don't see, but we're so enticed by the testimony, we don't care about the timeline. But it's so easy for us to just not want to put in the work and want to see money. And we hear it a lot. I've heard Ty Lopez say with Mentor Box that he's made a multi-million-dollar company by only working an hour a week. Well, the truth is, he's doing something that I like to call leveraging the people around him. He's outsourcing some of the work that would require a lot more time from him and putting that in front of people and saying, hey, you could be like me, only working an hour a week. But he's not telling them how he's doing it. People are naturally looking at things like that and saying, oh, okay, well, Ty's only working an hour a week and he's making millions of dollars a day, or however much money he's making, millions of dollars a month. I want to be like that. But how much work did he have to put in before it can set itself off, sail away, and he only has to really work an hour a week while everybody else that he has lined up is doing the rest of the work for him? This is something that we don't think about. This is something that people don't draw attention to, and it's just so difficult. But we have to get into that place of knowing where we want to be and knowing that, hey, it might not be the same as the person that we're trying to follow. I was so caught up in following the same footsteps of everybody that was put in front of me, every testimony with every program, that when things didn't go exactly as planned, when I didn't get that winning customer on the 5th call like so-and-so, I would beat myself up. And I'd put myself in a place where I'm taking 10 steps back, and now I'm having to work through the 10 steps that I just put myself back before I could even propel forward and excel past where I was. Now, how long did that take me? Honestly, I completely failed with my social media marketing agency, but could I have been successful if I kept going, and if I kept trying, and if I kept picking up the phone and calling these people, asking them if they needed those services? It didn't have to be that complicated, but I was so caught up in the fact of, hey, I just want to pick up the phone and tell people, have somebody tell me they want to give me $10,000 to run their social media, when really in reality, I wasn't giving much value. I was just picking up the phone, or maybe I was slapping a social media audit on the back of an envelope and hoping that they respond. I wasn't really thinking about all of the time that I actually had to put in. And if I was lucky, I was putting in maybe 3 to 4 hours a day. I mean, these days, when I'm really working on video content, when I'm really posting on social media, I'm working on average about 10 hours a day, which is 3 times as much as I used to work. But at the same time, sometimes it doesn't even feel like I have enough time to work. It's like before, when I get up, it's like, okay, I'm ready to do things. I get in that zone. We finally get in that zone where we're just motivated and we're going through things. And then I get into that place where I'm like, okay, awesome. And I look up at the clock and I'm tired. I'm like, oh man, I really got to go to bed. And it feels like maybe I just didn't have enough time, right? But imagine if I took the 10 hours that I was working in a day now, and I applied that back when I first started my social media marketing agency. Where would I be now? I could have been in that place of $10,000 a month. I could have been in that place of 3 times as much. But I chose to give up when things were difficult. I chose to give up when I hit all those roadblocks. I chose to propel myself backwards when I was having difficulty, instead of asking myself, how can I accomplish this? Or who can I go find that can help me accomplish this? I was quitting before I even faced any ounce of difficulty. And so just know, everybody's situation is different. It's so easy to get caught up in testimonies of the gurus that you're following and think that maybe that could be that way for you. And I'm not counting anybody out. Maybe you have that motivation. Maybe you have that upper hand. And maybe you just know inside your mind when you're looking at these testimonies that will be you. That's awesome for you. But I just want those people out there to know that if you were struggling like I was, you have to get into a place of knowing that we have to put in the time. There's 2 things in this world that we put in when it comes to business: time and money. And you see, Tai Lopez is able to work an hour a week or an hour a month, whatever, because he has money. He leverages his money and he pays other people to do what he doesn't want to spend his time doing. Now, if you don't have the money like Tai Lopez, now we have to leverage our time in order to get to that place. So that's just something to think about. Don't be too hard on yourselves, and just know that we have to put in the time. Don't be confused. Don't get caught up in the confusion of these testimonies. Don't get so caught up in it that you think it's just going to come falling into your lap. We have to go out there. We have to fight for it. We have to put in the time. Don't be like I was. Propel forward always. Don't take 10 steps back. Just know that you're going to have those times of failure. But really, in those times of failure, you're learning something new about yourself. You're learning something new about business, and it's going to help you in the future. I promise that. Hey, so here in a second, there's going to be a video that's going to pop up in the corner. I never really know what side it's going to pop up. I think it's like this side. Whatever. But anyway, it's going to be a video. And this video is actually taking one step back on this journey. And I'm talking about how you can get a bigger payday by focusing on your dream client. So that video is going to pop up right there. I suggest if you haven't seen that video yet, go ahead and click on that video and watch it now.